Alright, so we hooked up the forward and reverse lever. That's forward, that's reverse, that's neutral, that's pretty easy to memorize. Now we need to hook up the low range. That's what this lever's for, and it's just going to be hooked up to this lever over here. Alright, so the gear shifters are done on this thing. Now, I've been buying a bunch of stuff for this project to kind of upgrade everything on here. I did buy a sway bar for this thing because it definitely needs a sway bar, so that thing should get here in the next couple days and I'll install it once it does. I also bought limiting straps for the rear suspension. Now, right now, this vehicle only has rear brakes, and my original thought with that was like, oh, that's fine, at least it has brakes, but the more I think about it, to be a safe off-road vehicle, you really need both front and rear brakes because most of your stopping power is in the front. The rear tires have a tendency to just lock up and just end up sliding forever. So for this to be safe off-road vehicle, we need to add front brakes to this thing. So to do that, we also need to upgrade the tires because it's easier to put, brakes on bigger tires than smaller. So we're going to be replacing the 19-inch tires in the front with 22s, and the 22s in the rear we're going to be replacing with 24s that I bought on Amazon. Those should get here in the next couple days, and they have a more aggressive tread pattern than these V-tread tires. Basically, we're just taking the rear tires and putting them on the front. Now, to add front brakes to this thing, we kind of need to redo all the spindles, the hubs, and pretty much the A-arms on this thing because I'm probably just going to be using Heim joints to connect the A-arms to the spindles because it's pretty much the easiest way to build front suspensions. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to increase the amount of suspension travel the front has, as well as I need to stiffen the front suspension because it is very soft right now, and it's fine going on trails, but when you're going on jumps, the front end just has a tendency just to nosedive into the ground anytime you go over a jump. And I may also shorten because right now the front end is super wide. I may shorten it like an inch or 2 or 3 or something like that. Basically means we need to build all new spindles in new hubs for this project. Welding is the worst thing when you're surrounded by mosquitoes and they just won't stop biting you. In the middle of welding. This is like torture. Alright, so the hubs are pretty much done. These are pretty much as simple as you can get with making these things, and they're really similar to how I made them for the Grave Ninja, except on the Grave Ninja, the inside bearing is 1 inch and the outside bearing is 3/4. I'm not really sure why I did that, but it made it to where that was just way harder to machine, and this is just a lot simpler. So, also I used, this is actually the brake disc off the Grave Ninja. I had to buy a couple more from Go Power Sports, and we're still waiting for those to get here. Once they get here, I'll put them on here, and then I'll put this back on the Grave Ninja, but I'm kind of using this as just a template for how big this thing is and the bolt pattern and everything. Now, let's start working on building the spindles next. Let's start machining these down. Alright, so I was searching through my bin of Heim joints that I have, and I found these. These are 3/4 inch, and these are 5/8 Heim joints. These will be for the bottom A-arms, and I'll use these for the top, and I also found high misalignment spacers for each of these to get more suspension angle and steering angle out of these things. And as far as the spindle style, how I'm going to build these things, I'm just going to do the same kind of setup as I've done with previous projects. It seems to be pretty reliable, and it's super easy to build. Alright, spindles are all tacked together. Now all I have to do is weld them together. This is kind of like the easiest style that I have found to make spindles. They're pretty lightweight, except for this piece right here. This is nice. This is solid 1/8 of an inch, or this is solid 1-inch steel, so that's a little bit heavy. But it's also pretty easy to make, and it's pretty reliable and strong. Alright, now I know I said in the beginning of this video, or sometime in this video, that we were going to get the bigger tires on this thing, but I have this bad habit of thinking that I'm going to be able to get all this work done in this week's video, and then the weekend comes around and it's like, wow, I really didn't get anywhere near as much done as I thought I was going to, and I got to end the video here. So we did get the spindles done, as well as the hubs, but to be able to use these new spindles, I do have to redesign the A-arms for this, and I want to be able to take my time and do it right. And I'm probably just going to be not rebuilding these, but kind of just like redoing this kind of a little bit. I'm going to leave how the pivoting point is on the frame, because it works. Let's leave it, and then but I do have to cut these off. Shorten them a bit, and put them, make it to where we can use Heim joints on here, so therefore we can use the new spindles. Then we can get the bigger tires in the front, then we can get the bigger tires in the back, as well as limiting straps and sway bar. Check this out. So the sway bar I bought for this thing was $100 on eBay. It said that this was for a Polaris RZR 1000, and this thing showed up. It's super lightweight. It's a piece of tubing. I'm not sure how well this is gonna work because it's pretty thin. It's like 1/16 of an inch thin piece of tubing. But it said it's a sway bar. So I have no idea how well this is gonna work being a sway bar, but I bought it anyway, so I'm going to install it just to see if it works, but I kind of have my doubts on this actually working as a sway bar and being able to, because sway bars are spring steel for the most part, and this is just a piece of tubing. So who knows, but I'll install it, and we'll see if it works, and if it doesn't, I can always replace it with something else. So anyway, next video of this project, we will, rebuild the whole front suspension, put the bigger tires in the front, but use the new spindles and new hubs for the front suspension. Then we can work on getting the bigger tires in the back. We do have to change the gearing for that, as well as do all the other stuff that I said that we were going to do in this video, but that'll have to be for next video of this project. So anyway, I guess that's it for this video. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see ya in the next video.